Welcome to Grieving Resiliently. These modules were created by myself, Tonya Lloyd. I have a master's in clinical psychology. I'm a licensed drug and alcohol counselor, a certified clinical supervisor, as well as a registered psychotherapist. These modules were created to bring CBT alive to students. Listen carefully to the character's automatic negative thoughts, feelings, and what the character tends to do. Next, use the stars to help the character find a better way. In the last session, we looked at making friends. In this session, we'd be exploring a bit of a heavier topic called grieving. We've all lost someone we really loved, and there is a way to grieve resiliently, according to Dr. Lucy Horn. We're going to be building self awareness, other awareness, and looking at how thoughts affect feelings, how feelings affect what we do, and how to develop our stars. Of course, you'd have links, you'd get access only to the emotion cartoon. You'd have to register for our Resilient Stars series in order to access all of our fun activities. We're going to be looking at Anne. Anne learned to express her emotions. She made two friends, John and Jessie. One day, when Anne went home, she got news that nobody could prepare her for. Her grandpa was struggling with lung cancer and passed. Anne cried herself to sleep and woke up crying. He was her best friend. How will I cope? Her negative thoughts started creeping in. She felt so sad she couldn't imagine being happy again. She kept replaying all his jokes, the movies they watched with her when her mom worked the night shift, and playing cards. In her sessions, since Anne believed in God, they said their serenity prayer. Anne stated, Grandpa may not be here, but he still loves me and wants me to do well in life. She decided to put a picture of herself and her grandpa in her locket that she wore. Her coach helped her to create a beautiful memory plaque for her locker of pictures that helped her to celebrate her grandpa, and sadness lifted as she felt hopeful. With your coach, typically in sessions with your coach, you're going to have an opportunity to state what the situation was, typically in just one sentence. For example, the situation in this case would be Anne lost her grandpa. What were her negative thoughts? As we recall, she thought that how would she ever be happy again? Right? So she was predicting a negative future. She was also um, overgeneralizing the situation. It's like just being able to cope again seemed out of reach for Anne. And we need to identify, so we just identify the types of negative thoughts, but we do have a list that could help with the identification of negative thoughts and list the feelings that these thoughts possibly created. Right, so we could imagine that when Anne is thinking that she can't possibly cope, we could imagine that she would be feeling sad, she'd be feeling frustrated, perhaps even angry. What behavior did the character do in response to these feelings? Well, she cried herself to sleep, but then she woke up crying as well. And we usually role play in our sessions just how the character's behavior might have affected others. So sometimes we may be grieving and we may not realize that we are actually impacting other people as well. For example, if Anne is crying and her parents are looking on and they're not sure how to comfort her, or she prefers to withdraw and be by herself, finding a way to bridge that behavior where she could allow people to come in and support her during that time would be essential. And so we like to have fun with the role plays where we role play the wrong or least helpful way, as well as the correct or the most helpful way to respond in those situations. And now we'll take a look at the stars power. We explore self-awareness by labeling the emotions using our emotion cartoon. We explore how we could build our tenacity, what similar situations or of loss that, we may have experienced in the past and overcame that we could borrow from to give us courage in this particular situation. We also practice mindfulness or attention to staying in the present. What does Anne still have with her that she could hold on to? For example, her friendships. She just made two new friends. Her family, they are also grieving in their own way, and they could celebrate with Anne, celebrate her grandpa's life. Retention, remembering that not because we think something necessarily makes it true. Sometimes our thoughts are true, and that just means that we have to brainstorm ways that are more helpful to respond, right? But when our thoughts are not true, that's when we spend some time reframing and thinking of more helpful ways that we could think about any given situation. And finally, we come up with a very, small plan to help Anne. When she starts feeling waves of sadness, what would she do? How could she respond? What would be the pros and cons of grieving for too long, versus maybe celebrating grandpa's life. And this brings us to the end of the module called Grieving Resiliently. It's really about exploring the emotions that come with grief in a non judgmental way, as well as choosing to celebrate life, choosing to remain in the present, and believing in our ability to keep moving forward as we make the person that we've lost or that we're grieving, we make them a part of our future. We hope that this module was helpful. If you found it to be helpful, please feel free to reach out, connect if you'd like to actually have a live in person coaching session to explore some of our activities and set your own goals. That's an opportunity. We'll leave a link in the description below. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you again next week.